This morning we want to talk about motherhood, a job that has been called the most difficult and the most delightful that any woman can have. We have three experts on the subject of motherhood to visit with today, beginning with Serelda Nathy from Redstone, Montana, who is Montana's Mother of the Year in 1973, and she is currently chairman of the Montana Mothers Committee. And welcome, Serelda. It's a pleasure to meet you in person again and to commend you for all the work you've done on the prayer vigil, which is one of the National Mothers projects that you've done so faithfully for the last 5 years.
Right, thank you.
I bet a lot of people out there don't have any idea where Redstone, Montana is. Where is it?
It's in Sheridan County, northeastern part of Montana.
And how many miles from Great Falls is that?
411.
Thank you for being with us today. And then we'd like you to meet Montana's 1979 Mother of the Year. She is Mrs. Ruth Townsend from Baker, Montana. And welcome, Ruth, and congratulations to you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. And along with Ruth, we're happy to have Montana's 1979 Young Mother of the Year, and she is Joanne Knudsen. And welcome to you, Joanne.
Thank you.
Joanne is from Great Falls. We'll have Serelda give us a little background on the aim of the Mothers Committee, and I guess it was established like 44 years ago,
Right.
wasn't it?
And yeah, one of the main purposes of the National Mothers Committee in Montana, as part of it, is to strengthen the spiritual and moral values of the home. Then one of our projects is the Young Mothers Council, which we endorse, support, and give our wholehearted support to.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the prayer vigil, which is it starts in May and it's continuous. Two states have a week, and during that week we contact all the ministers and priests and the ladies groups and Christian groups to pray continually for the spiritual and moral values of the home, for our leaders, and for a better world.
Right. One of the really exciting projects of the American Mothers Committee you were involved in when you went to Denver for the National Mothers Meeting. And would you tell us about that experience?
Right. They dedicated a chapel at Pikes Peak, and we each brought a rock from every state to lay around the chapel part. It's a beautiful place in Pikes Peak, and really you feel close to God when you're up there.
This is the National Mothers Chapel?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's tremendous.
In Colorado.
All right, now let's find out a little bit about Ruth Townsend, about her background. She's a mother of 7 children.
Yes.
And Ruth, your husband died, leaving you a widow, and at the age, what were the ages of your children, from what to what when your husband died?
My boy was 15, and the youngest child was 8.5 months.
So that was an enormous job, and I imagine your children helped you a lot in helping you raise them, didn't they?
And my community.
Right.
The people in my community were really wonderful in helping with me.
Right. Tell us a little bit about some of the challenges you found in keeping order in a home with 7 kids. That's a pretty big family. Did you yourself come from a big family, so you had experience to deal with this?
Well, my family were scattered. There were 4 years between my next brother and I, and more than that with my half-brother. So, no, I wasn't experienced with a large family. But they come one at a time, and you cope with it as they come. And yes, it was lots of fun. And looking back on it, I don't see it as a great challenge, because you do take it as it comes along.
Right. I want to talk to each about a problem that faces every mother and father, and that is this problem of discipline. And first I'll ask Joanne how she deals with discipline. How old are your 2 boys, Joanne?
5 and 8.
And how do you handle discipline in your family?
Well, I think we have to take time, and this is one of the big things nowadays. There are so many stresses on leisure activities and working out of the home, and I think we have to take time with our children, and discipline is not as hard as it is if we don't take the time. Usually children want the attention, and the discipline problem comes when they don't get it. And I find taking time with the children makes it much easier.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever have to spank your children?
Oh, yes.
And do you believe in this?
Oh, yes.
And how about you, Ruth? Did you spank your kids, and do you believe in it?
Yes, I did.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
How about withholding privileges? Did you use that device too?
I think most mothers do.
And how about family councils? Did you have those where you would all sit down and discuss problems as they came up?
I think that probably at the dinner table was a good time for counseling. My husband and I believed in having your family together at mealtime.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a time when we could all get together and discuss any problems that we had.
Right. Okay. Serelda mentioned that the Young Mothers Council service was an outgrowth of the National Mothers Council, and it's relatively new in Montana. We only have a group in Great Falls, but there are plans, as I understand, to expand this. In the couple of years that you've been attending meetings of this group, how has it helped you, Joanne?
Well, you get together with young mothers who have common problems and some of the same interests, children usually around the same age level. And it's good to get together just to discuss these problems and see what someone else is doing with it, and to find out that you're not the only one who has problems.
Now, the National Mothers Council has set up a study guide so that you just don't go and chit-chat. You actually have something to really go by. Is that correct?
We have 5 study guides, and 2 of them are called Focus on Family, 1 and 2. We also use a couple of books by Dr. Dobson, who is a well-known child expert, and one is Dare to Discipline, and another was Hide or Seek. And these we try to follow, but we also use resource people in our community too.
Now, both of you ladies are in preparing for an incredible trip. And look at the beam on your face. Ruth, where are you going, and when will this happen?
We'll be going to New York City, and we'll be staying at the Waldorf Astoria. The conference is the 7th through the 11th of May. But we'll be going in a little bit earlier.
They have this each year near Mother's Day, then?
Yes, they do.
And you'll be hearing national speakers, and I know, Joanne, you'd like to mention one of the key people, or the couple that is very involved in helping set up this particular National Mothers Conference.
Yes, Dr. Norman Peel, who is chairman of the National Convention this year.
Incredible. And looking at some of the names on your honorary committee, Mrs. J.C. Penny, and I guess, Serelda, you've met her, and she's just an incredible lady.
Right, and Mrs. Letourneau.
And Mrs. Eisenhower, and then Mrs. Peel as well. So you'll be back there representing Montana, and we know you'll do a great job for us. Serelda, the question hits my mind that perhaps there are women watching today who themselves would be eligible to be Montana's Mother of the Year or Young Mother of the Year, and that Young Mother goes up to 35, as I understand.
Right.
If someone is interested, how do they go about submitting an application or indicating their interest?
Well, about in November, the search starts for the Montana Mother. And so then we have application blanks and a rules sheet that we send to all the Federated Women's Clubs in Montana and to the county agents, who in turn contact their local county agent home demonstration clubs. But then we also use the news media. And then they can contact me at Redstone, Montana.
Serelda Nathy in Redstone, Montana. We thank you, women, for being with us today to discuss a subject that's of great interest to all women, I think, motherhood. And we thank Serelda Nathy, Montana's Mother of the Year in '73 from Redstone, and Mrs. Ruth Townsend from Baker, our current Mother of the Year, and Joanne Knudsen, our Young Mother of the Year. Thank you, and best wishes to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.